Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first episode of Hipster versus Heathen. I'm Chris Patone. I'm going to be your resident hipster trash for the duration of this podcast.
And I am Logan, and I will be your heathen.
Yep. So, that's kind of confusing, I'm sure, but basically what we decided we're going to do with this is Logan and I have been friends for a very long time, and to say the least, we have some
Differing opinions.
differing opinions on most things, but I'd say primarily music. Yeah?
Hopefully primarily.
Hopefully primarily. But, basically what we decided to do was, hey, how funny would it be if me and him went back and forth debating albums that we both like, and we'd bring them in and talk about them over a kitchen countertop on a Saturday night because we're lonely. But, long story short, what we're going to do is we're just going to bring an album to the table, have opening remarks, debate about them, have closing remarks, and what we might do is we might do three opposite opinions, which is that, if you hate the album, for example, or if you like the album, you have to give three opposite opinions to show that you're not that biased after all. And everyone has opinions and shit.
And at the end, we're going to slit each other's throats, so this is actually also the last episode.
Yeah, it's like the guy who hit the bottle on the Titanic. It's like he didn't know, but it's coming. So thanks for the forewarning. So basically, we're going to be talking about, and I thought no better way to start off this kind of podcast, if I'm going to be considered the hipster, than for me to bring the opening album to the table, that is the new Mac Demarco album, This Old Dog. Now, Logan and I did an entire listen through the album just a little while ago so we could have fresh opinions on it and listen to it with a fresh ear, and I think I've said enough. Logan, would you like to start with your opening remarks on This Old Dog?
So, I noticed that pretty much every song sounds like it was recorded underwater, and each is slightly different than the last. The first half of the album just felt like a 12-minute song, and then the second half there was a harmonica, I think I remember.
Yeah, there was a harmonica in there.
So yeah, it sounded like it was someone playing a cassette tape in a car from the 70s with the wood panels on the side that they borrowed from their mom.
Like an El Camino?
Yeah, because they're gonna go road tripping, and this is the mixtape.
And the road trip is to the bowling alley because that's far away because Wisconsin's a big state.
Yeah, the mixtape was just long enough to make it there because they live in the middle of cheese country. So
all right, yeah, fair enough. And they're fat too, so the motor scooters take a little time to rev up.
We don't want to get rid of that entire half of our audience, Chris. The Wisconsinites might get upset.
That's half? Fuck me, I at least thought our friends would be supportive, you know what I mean? It's opening episode of the fucking podcast. I mean, damn. Coming in strong. So I'm a pro for this album. Now, I have history with Mac. This is Logan's first time really listening to him. So he might be undereducated on the refined taste in Mac.
Undereducated? I am a college student, sir.
I could say several things. Several things about that. But I'm not gonna, because we're not going into our personal histories yet. The backstory comes later in the season. But basically, Mac DeMarco came into my life at the right time, I think. I was kind of teenager, sophomore, junior year in college when I first heard Mac. I heard him on things like Chamber of Reflection. And it was really when I was starting to Chamber of Reflection, the one song.
No, I was laughing at the sophomore, junior year in college part.
In college? Did I say college? Fuck me. High school. And basically I don't know, he was just this wacky goofball character who made this. It was music like no other that I had heard before. It was it's your generic hipster trash music. It was right as I was starting to expand my music taste.
Yeah, it's what you play when you're shooting up heroin at your friend's house.
Well, I mean, it's more acid at the rec center, but yeah, it's just it was so trippy and weird, and it was it was really funny, and that was one thing that I really love about Mac, especially in this album. I think it shines is his lyrics are fantastic, and a lot of times they evoke really cool things. And this album was almost a point of, is it maturation or maturation?
I'm
maturing.
Not a English major.
Okay, I am. But, basically it was a point for him to mature in this album because you see him tackling, less goofy, funny, feel-good music with the same style. So, the way I describe it is that he's learning how to he's learning how to paint new pictures with the same colors. You know what I mean? Like, it still sounds like stuff you'd listen to while drowning in a mall in 1984. Not George Orwell's 1984. But like it's still, it gives new emotions, and it's sometimes really sad, but still sometimes has that like Mac DeMarco like happy goofiness to it. And I thought it was
mostly just sad.
Mostly just sad. It was really sad. This album's actually really sad, especially when you go into the like why it's like that. So yeah, I like it. If you haven't figured that out, so we're gonna go head to head.
I'm supposed to tell you why you shouldn't like it.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me why my points are wrong or bad, and I'm gonna rebuttal. Basically, so it's like I'm gonna guess the prosecution's gonna attack the defendant here.
All right. So when you listen to an album, how often do you think like, oh man, I hope this is one really long song that just lasts for 40 minutes and doesn't really change a tone at all?
But like I was saying before, it's okay that that's his style. So his style is established already. He's had 3 albums of this style. So you expect like 40 minutes of the same shit.
But is repetition a style?
Okay, you got me there. But I'm saying that there's not repetition, there's similarity. Like, history doesn't repeat, it kind of rhymes. Like, I'm saying, like, the same bits and pieces are there, I agree, but, like, the timbre he uses, like, you know, like the instrumentation, the content of the lyrics, like, obviously what mode it's in, major, minor, like, all the music theory bullshit that no one cares about. But, like, you know, like I was saying, it's like, yeah, he uses the similar colors, but that's because that's how he writes music. I mean, no one blames Picasso for doing cubism over and over and over again.
Every time he opens his mouth, it just sounds like a really lazy kid who just took horse pills is trying to sing the song, and then his cousin who plays guitar just happens to be in the room.
I think it might be his cousin.
Yeah. It just sounds like a family of kids who are, like, stuck at their parents' house while they're downstairs watching, like, I don't know, Shark Tank.
But, like, that's kind of like his audience, if you think about it. I mean, he's not trying to be, like, heavy, although his live shows, he actually speeds up a lot of his songs and gets pretty hard with it. He actually
emphasis on the speed.
You're really killing me with the drug shit. And he looks like a druggie, too. You really... Fuck. I mean, he made a song about Vice for a cigarette.
I imagine he's dressed like he just wears a straw hat like that guy in One Piece. I don't even watch anime.
Yeah, I was gonna say to defend myself. Yeah, it's like no one listens to you anymore. This isn't like
I'm not a weeb.
Hipster versus weeaboo. Yeah, it's like, but it's weird. He calls his style, and most kids call that style bum chic, which you've actually seen it insert itself low key into modern fashion, because Mac DeMarco is like the kind of dude that would wear dad caps and long flannel shirts and like ripped jeans, and you see it in the mainstream now, especially when I go to school in New York, and everywhere everybody's just Mac DeMarco.
Yeah, he sounds like the kid who sits in Washington Square Park but doesn't look like he goes to school.
That's most kids at Washington Square Park. None of them look like they go anywhere. These are clove cigarettes. I'm saving my voice. I'm a vocal performance major. I've heard that before. It's really sad. But, like, anyway, but that's his audience. And he knows how to appeal to that audience, and it's who he is. He's a lazy piece of shit. I know you haven't listened to any of his stuff before, but if you, like, listen to interviews, or if you watch who he talks to, he's just, like, he embodies that music. He really is the guy that's represented in his songs. Like, I don't think he's fronting. I think it's just who he is, and I understand that's not for everybody, but I feel like you can't blame an artist for being himself.
I don't know, his lyrics sound lazy, and the writing sounds just as lazy.
You really think so?
It just sounds like... I like that it's mellow, but it's too mellow. It sounds like he really didn't try. It's like, he kind of looked at a piece of paper and went, well, I could write a song, or I could scribble and hope that one writes itself.
Fuck. I mean, but like, no, if you actually look at the lyrics, though, I mean, like, there's some really powerful stuff, especially on this album. I think it's where it shines. I get a lot of, like, and some people will get mad at this because they're going to defend dad rock, and I wouldn't even consider who I'm about to say dad rock. I would consider it more folk. But Bob Dylan, who just won, I'm pretty sure, Nobel Literature Prize, right? Like, you hear a lot of Dylan-esque things in what he writes and how he sounds, and especially his voice. He sounds like a Bob Dylan that sings better, in my opinion, than Bob Dylan, so I'm probably not turning you on to Bob Dylan anytime soon. but like there's a lot of like power in these lyrics. Like, yeah, his older stuff was a lot. It sounds literally like he phoned it in because, like you're saying, everything kind of sounds like he went through a telephone. But
his lyrics are masked behind what little effort he put into performing it. Like,
Ah,
after
come
you've heard the
on.
first song, you stop listening to what he's saying and start thinking, like, I've heard this before, because literally every song is the same.
I mean, but like if you go deeper into it,
But why would you want to?
because
If
that's
you're-
why people go to that music.
You get the gist of it from the surface, and if you want to, you can listen to the lyrics.
So my argument is that he can be the casual listening to it on the beach while stoned.
What do you
or-
mean can be? That's what it is.
I mean, that's what it is.
There's no
But
more
like,
substance.
Like, it's good driving music, but I also think if you want to, the substance can be found.
Emphasis on
you,
substance.
You can stop it. You can find what you want in this album. I think if you want to just listen to it as like one or two songs to just like slow jam cruise on a Pacific Coast Highway to, or if you want to listen to a guy really struggling with the concept of growing up and not being able to be the fucking prankster bum that he's been his entire life anymore, and you know grappling with the fact that he's kind of thinking he's turning into his dad, who's a figure that he really hates in his life, you can find some really powerful stuff in here. Like,
Yeah, the album has something for everybody, whether you're stoned on a beach or just got out of a bad breakup, and that literally covers the only two groups it reaches.
hey, that's one more coverage. Is that how you'd say that? One more thing that it covers in Taylor Swift. So I'm saying it's better than most shit people listen
So that's
to.
200% over Taylor Swift.
200% over
100.
You're not a math major either, are you?
I think I passed stats. We'll see.
All right, well, we'll figure it out soon enough. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't think it's that bad. Which, that's a really cheesy way for me to say I'm running out of points. Do you have any other negative points right now?
Well, I feel like this is something I could play while jogging down Pacific Coast Highway. I
Okay,
don't know
we've
why I'd be
touched that.
jogging down a highway, but
We've touched that.
yeah. It just sounds like really mellow, but unless you're sitting outside on a nice day, it doesn't really seem like it would fit any other
Well,
tone.
so now my argument is that since we've established that's who he is, and I think like you're just saying that maybe this isn't your cup of tea, and I'm arguing that it might be a lot of people's cup of tea, what would you do differently to this old dog without fundamentally changing the album?
I would change the tone.
The whole tone?
Most of it.
Really?
The tone is pretty uniform. Like, just how, like I said, it's more mellow and it's more relaxed, and it doesn't really pick up tempo, doesn't really get more exciting, the lyrics are... Like, I get that's what some people are into, but if that's literally the only thing you're going to do the entire album, how do you expect to gather any different audiences or capture anyone else's attention?
I think he doesn't need to. He's pretty well received around the clock. Like, around the globe, too. I mean, like, most people who enjoy, I guess, the indie scene, if you want to call it that, or just enjoy chill music, have some positive reception of Mac DeMarco, other than the fact that he's gotten super popular, which is why a lot of people are shitting on him and giving him flack. The reason I brought this to the table as the first episode is because if we're going to call it Hipster v. Heathen, is because this is the generic thing people go to when they think hipster. But in reality, and this is going to sound hipster of me, it's really fucking mainstream. Like, a lot of people listen to him more than you think. I mean, like, I know a bunch of people with strong opinions negative of him, like you, and a lot of people I hang out with, but I know others, I swear to God, that really like him. And, like, even if they don't like him, they're appreciating this album more because it's showing he can hit other tones. What you've missed with 2 and Salad Days and another one, and of course, you know, like his early stuff, even like Rock and Roll Nightclub, is that he's very upbeat and goofy with this chill style, and it conflicted. So this is the first time he's really hitting the thing you'd expect from chill kind of music, like kind of like a post, this is going to sound really hipster of me, like a post-chill wave indie rock scene is sad. This is the first time where he's hitting notes of a personal life, and I think that's what makes this album stand out, in my opinion.
It stands
Above
out
a lot.
to his other works, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, if we were to have 3 more episodes of Mac DeMarco, which I'm sure everybody would love, because they're loving this right now, you know, us sitting next to your Keurig and listening to text bloops go off.
Sorry, Christine.
Oh, atta girl, Christine. Fuck me up, fam. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, you'd appreciate it more.
If I listened to his other music, I would appreciate this. That's like saying
I called it.
you have to
I fucking called it.
You
I
have
knew
to
you'd
watch
say that.
all 14 Marvel movies to finally appreciate Civil War. You have to know everything that's led up to this moment and get all of the context.
Fuck.
So you can finally understand
Fuck.
this 2-hour masterpiece, because otherwise you'll have no idea what's going on. You shouldn't have to get context to enjoy a piece of work.
Well, I'm saying, now we're going to get into another music thing too, so I can defend what I said before. With the way music is going now, a lot of people are just throwing a lot of stuff that sounds the same into an album, throwing it out into the world because of streaming, like the things that you would least expect to get popular, when you hear Bad and Bougie by like Migos, you know, like,
Sure, I've heard of that. That's why I'm a
how have you
heathen.
not heard of that? Everybody's heard of that. But anyway, Bad and Bougie is like your generic trap rap song, but if you put that in front of a board of music executives like Atlantic, like the record label heads, no one would go, that's the hit single of early 2017. But it was. Because streaming allows you to listen to all these things. So a lot of people aren't listening to full albums. We had the pleasure of listening to, the way you'd put it, 12 of the same song, or 13 or 14 of the same song.
There was that many songs?
There were actually, yeah, but 2 of them were very short and they were really sad. Sister and Watching Him Fade Away. But, yeah, like they're putting out a lot of similar content so that the one that really clicks with people goes chart topping. Because streaming is like that, where people will listen to the same song a billion or so times.
Well, that's how you get one-hit wonders.
Well, it's more...
Because the rest of their
But
work's not
here's
as
the
popular.
thing, though. Now that you have streaming, though, you get more than one-hit wonders. You get, like, 4 or 5 hit wonders. And that's honestly all you need this day and age to stay relevant.
I think to stay relevant, though, either those 4 or 5 would have to be over a pretty long period of time, over, like, multiple albums, or you would just be there for, what, like, a year, and those 4 or 5 come out around the same time, and then that's it, and then nobody hears about you again? Like, how many hit songs does Post Malone have? Like, I don't even listen to him, and he has, like, 2 songs that
A lot
are
of people
that
like
popular.
Stoney. I wasn't the biggest fan. Maybe we could bring that in. I wasn't the biggest fan of Stoney overall. I really liked the one hit, though. Congratulations. But the thing is, that's still here. I still listen to that. Like, it's not like the 80s where, you know, like, you get, like, one song by, like, Flock of Seagulls, like Iran, and it disappears for a long time and then comes back.
Well, the difference with that being that we don't rely on radio to play it, because then on radio, after they're done, it goes away. We
Bingo.
have access to it all the time.
Well, that's what I mean now. So it's literally just you're taking bits and pieces of every artist that, like, the best parts of every artist are sticking now instead of popping up and fading away. You know what I mean? Because we have the constant, continuous access to it.
I don't know. I haven't heard much about Fergie lately. What's she been up to?
MILF Money.
Ooh,
Do you know about MILF Money?
I don't.
It's pretty horrible. She literally made a song about being a hot mom, and she made a music video for it that is basically a hardcore softcore porno. Like, and it has a bunch of hot moms, including a bunch of women in things I don't know because I'm not good with TV, and then there's like Kim Kardashian.
But does she sing about her dead dad or his sister that ran away?
Oh, fuck. Now we're back on... And we're back, guys. We're back to the Mac DeMarco episode. I'm Chris. This is Logan. Let's run down what we're talking about. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that's a negative part. I mean, an artist... Sorry, that was a stove. I hit a stove. An artist that, like, brings in such important parts of his life into an album. Just because it happens to be the one album where this is the sad album. I don't blame him for doing that. If he's feeling overall depressed and like a midlife crisis, this is like his midlife crisis album. Like, but instead of buying a motorcycle, he wrote an album.
But again, you need the context behind it to appreciate it.
That's true.
This isn't...
But is that a negative thing?
I don't know. This isn't an album that you would just pick up like, oh man, I want to listen to some new music. let's get all of these things, and I'll get my antidepressants and sit here in the corner and just listen to it and hope I don't start cutting.
Oh, man. Wow. Easy now. We don't know who's listening.
They're not from Wisconsin, we know that.
Well, that's true, yeah, they're out. I mean, like, we dropped that. You know, Trump took that state, since we're going to hit a bunch of negative notes now. Yeah, I mean, it is an overall, like, sadder album. It's taking a very serious, somber tone, but this is... I guess you're right, it really is an album for more of a hardcore fan, which you're arguing is hard to find for this guy. But, like, for the people who really have listened to him, this is like watching the guy that you grew up with grow up with you.
It's watching his evolution as an artist.
Exactly, and it's like, that's kind of a cool thing, you know, like, now not everybody likes that phase in an artist, not in an art, one whole art. But I feel like he does this well, because it's such a change. But you still keep that essence of who he is as an artist. You know, it's like Mac DeMarco's still Mac DeMarco, but instead of being, you know, goofy, happy-go-lucky, you know, living day to day, smoking your Viceroy cigarettes, he literally has a song about Viceroy cigarettes, which are like the Newports of Canada. But great song, recommend it. Ode to Viceroy. But yeah, instead of that kind of Mac DeMarco, we're getting the Mac DeMarco that's growing up. His salad days are over, which was like the big track on his last album before this. Like, he's turning into a grown man. He's realizing, I can't be the kind of dude that streaks on stage anymore, or, like, you know, sticks a drumstick up my butt on stage. He did that one time, apparently. I've never seen the video, because that's not my cup of tea. I don't want to see a guy who I always talk highly about in the music world, you know.
Yeah, you'll settle for like a microphone up there, but a drumstick's too much.
I think a drumstick's actually less than a microphone.
It's way longer.
There's a ball, though. There's that initial hump you gotta get through.
Depends on what way you put it in, Chris.
Well, I mean, can we get off this topic? Like, I know in the long run of, like, how long this is, it feels very short to me, and it feels like we've been on this already for, like, 20 minutes, but, like, microphones up the ass, kids.
So yeah, you're saying he's grown up.
He's growing up. Like, this is it. This is the high point. Like,
so he's hit his apex, and then it's all downhill from here.
Fuck you. So, I think you guys have gotten the gist of our arguments. So, you guys can decide for yourself who's right or who's wrong.
Listen to the album for yourself. Develop your own opinion.
Don't be sheep. Anyway, so now I think it would be fun, and I think you already heard some of this in the debates because we were admitting things, but if Logan and I gave 3 opposite opinions of what our overall opinion is. Now,
yeah, so if you didn't figure this out, I did not like it.
And I wouldn't say I really liked it. I'm trying to defend my opinion of music here.
I see it more of a friend.
I like it a lot. Shut up. You're like a brother to me. This old dog. But yeah, we're going to give 3 shines on it, you know what I mean? Like 3 things where it really, like, glowed for you. And I'll give 3 things where I think it needs to improve.
Yeah, so the album plays like a playlist for maybe like a lazy beach day. Like I was saying before, like, this is something that someone should listen to where they don't have a lot going on, and that day they kind of just have to themselves, I guess, and they're just looking for something to relax to, not like where you're doing something intense, like you have to get through this essay real quick, because it's not going to make you work any faster. Just how slow the pace is and how relaxed all of the instruments playing are. And his voice is like, there's something about my dad and my sister who ran away. Yeah, like a whiny dog almost.
This old dog.
Yeah, so it's really, like I said, it's like a playlist.
Yeah.
Where you'd normally have to go out and look for these songs that fit the specific tone you're looking for, but instead they're all just there for you. And then I like that he's able to express himself through his music. I think that's important for artists to do.
Yeah.
Because if you're not really expressing yourself, it's not really art. Because you're not putting yourself into it. It's just like,
of course,
you're throwing up onto this this format and hoping that people take it in.
Well, modern artists would argue they say anything you do is art, whether it has emotion or not. I learned that from a friend of mine who's doing postmodern dance.
Emotion's pretty important behind art, though.
I think so. That's
it's supposed to evoke emotion, so if it doesn't evoke anything in the artists themselves, then what is it really?
Well, that's the argument with modern art, is that, like, there's the Aristotelian, which is the worst, like, most douchey sounding thing I've ever heard, but it is, because Aristotle, like, mentioned it in Poetics. Everybody stop listening. I'm sorry. I mentioned Aristotle. We're done. I think we got to cancel. But it's like he's saying you bring your emotion out, and people will get that out of your art. Mm-hmm. Like, but modern artists argue you don't need your emotion to get emotion out of somebody else.
That's true in some cases, but
really, yeah.
It tends to be pretty shallow, and I think people pick up on that.
I think especially in music, it's like different mediums.
Yeah, if your heart's not in it, people can generally pick up on that by themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you look at artists like, I don't know, Miley Cyrus, like Wrecking Ball, you really think she was emotionally invested in that?
No, dude, whatever demon was inside of Miley Cyrus has exited and entered Katy Perry. Have you seen?
Really?
Did you see that? It was like, I saw that on a meme. Yeah, that's right, guys. That's right. That's where I get my goofs and my gaffes from. From the Maymays on Instagram, I see. Daquan, great content creator. Big fan of his work, speaking of modern art. But yeah, no, like Miley Cyrus's hair was like short and blonde, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now it's like super long and flowy, and she's kind of back in her groove.
She's going to be back on Disney Channel soon.
Yeah, it's like, she, like, somebody I was talking to recently was like, oh, I want to go see the free concert in New York with her. And I was like, why? Like, she's like, I don't like the stuff she's been doing ever since she met the Flaming Lips and, like, really started working with them. And, like, that one album cover she had with the gum on her face was really gross. Look up Miley Cyrus Dead Pets with a Z. That's the grossest album cover I've seen in my life. He's looking it up right now. But yeah, no, it's like, but now apparently she's returning to like soulful, like really music that's coming from her, it seems more like, instead of like what could get her image back. Is that not disgusting? I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
That's gross. You know what?
That's something special, ladies.
That's gonna be the cover of this. Actually, no, we'll make the album cover of this old dog it, but I'm gonna try and sneak that in somewhere in the future.
Yeah, we can make a link dump.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a link dump there.
Oh my god.
What, is link dump the way you say it?
That's what I would say.
Like,
that's where you dump the links.
It sounds like you're literally shitting a URL. Like,
I feel like that's how we could play it off.
We're
guess. Shitting out a Mac DeMarco episode.
That also wasn't that funny. You could have just said that. Like, what I said wasn't fun. Like, that was like a bad Jerry Seinfeld observation. It's like, airplane food! What's up with that? Like, oh,
I don't know, I'm kind of mesmerized by this whole glittery cum shot on Miley Cyrus.
It literally looks like a unicorn jizzed on her face. Like, it's really bad. But, I guess this isn't PG-13 either. I guess kids can't listen. I mean, then again, who's listening to Mac DeMarco that's, like, under an edgy 14-year-old right now who already... You guys have the internet. But yeah, so you've already given your 3?
No, I have one more. So
okay,
something nice about it. Wow, I do really like just the fuck. Like, it did have its own style, you know.
Yeah.
There's not many other artists I could compare him to. He is kind of his own, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you can I can find others, but like it's difficult to find others in the mainstream.
Yeah, he's his own artist. He's probably got influences from other good artists,
yeah.
But he's definitely his own, and he's not like, doesn't feel like it's derivative or like he's stealing content from someone else, you know, like it definitely has its own voice.
Yeah.
It's its own piece. It's not anybody else's I would attribute it to.
All right, so I gotta say mean things about Mac?
You said you liked him as a friend, so I feel like you could pull some stuff out.
I mean, he's been texting me a little too much.
I unmatched him on Tinder. He didn't get the message.
I mean, I'm more of a grinder kind of guy. Kidding. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You do you. But,
yeah, so just think of something
this is a PC
critical
show, yeah, so we gotta be even. I get the argument. Everything sounds the fucking same with the man. I like that. I like that there's consistency, and honestly, most of the stuff that he does I think is good, but I get that people get bored with him quickly. He can be very boring. Like,
Well, yeah.
I don't listen to this album start to finish normally.
On the flip side of that, artists that have albums where every song is totally different, that's not good either.
Yeah,
like,
it's
that
like...
is tiring to listen to.
Well, that's
as
like Jack of all trades, master of none, whereas this is like Jack of the one thing this guy can do while stoned, very good at it. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, but once you exhaust that resource, and people are going to start noticing that this
I get
shit's all
it.
the same.
I get it. Everybody gets the shit's all the same. Most people do. You even said it. You thought it was the same part. You thought it was a second part to the same track.
Yeah, I couldn't believe there were that many songs. That's ridiculous.
2, the instrumentation is not always the best. I also get where people come from, and even I sometimes get annoyed by, like, it sounds like somebody was like, yo, bro, I'm a senior in high school. I think it's time for me to branch out with my feelings. I'm gonna make a recording at home on GarageBand and put the Dreamy filter on it and make 3 albums and 2 EPs of it.
I feel like he could move on to bloopy reggae jams.
Bloopy?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say bloopy. I'd say more like bloopy. Like really... like
You need to stretch it out.
Goopy. Which sounds really gross. The more I take it back. But yeah, no, like... It sounds homemade. And to some, that's an aesthetic, which I hate using that word.
It doesn't sound like he put, like, too much effort, you know? Like,
Yeah, it sounds lackadaisical.
Yeah, you listen to these pop songs where there's too many parts to pay attention to.
It's a studio jockey. That's it. Like, my argument, like, we might bring this one into it too. I didn't like the new Drake album because I feel like there was a lot of Drake that I did like.
I didn't listen to it.
Which I guess we're bringing it in. Wait for that episode if this ever continues. Which I hope it does. I thought I had fun. Did you have fun? I had fun. But yeah, like he's losing the quality of who he is. A lot of people argue he's had a ghostwriter. I'm one of those people who might agree with that because some of that shit sounds way too good for him to have made. But there was like so much good shit on like if you're reading this, it's too late and. I forget the name of the album that came before that. Oh yeah, and Nothing Was the Same, and Headlines. That was just like really cool and really him, and it had like this vibrancy to it, and it had this passion. And now you get stuff like where I like one song off the album, like Passion Fruit was a good single. I thought that was cool. It makes me feel like a cool Caribbean dude who's actually from the Six, which is Canada. So he's not from the islands. But, like, it makes me feel like I'm chilling on an island with all, like, hot chicks. Like, that's cool. That's awesome. Like, that's a great thing to have. But when every song just sounds like overproduced elevator music on one album, I don't like it. Like, that's a studio jockey. So, like, that's the third thing. Well, actually, no, that's the first thing we talked about. So the third thing I want to say about Mac is that the aesthetic that he has... is the counter-argument to this album. It's childish. Like, he's just, like... He doesn't take anything too seriously. And I think it's ironic in an album where he's talking about taking things more seriously. Yes, he cleaned up a lot of the production. If you listen to the production of some of his older albums, it's a lot more muddy and trippy and psyche, which is cool. But... it didn't clean up enough where I almost believe he's growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where he's trying to make a point that, or not make a point, but explain how he's growing up, but in a way that's very childish and very...
It's very him keeping the same.
Yes.
It's like...
it doesn't feel like he's evolving, but he's saying he is.
It's like he's going out into the world with a suit on, but at night he's going home to his blankie and his teddy. You know what I mean?
It definitely does sound like that.
It clings. Yeah, it's like... And that's not a... I'm using it as a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing. Like, I think he's found his style and he's sticking with it. But if there was even a little more variation in the sound, like if the sound really came through with it, if it was more than Mac DeMarco, it was, this is big boy, big league Mac DeMarco.
Well, it could also have been an artistic choice where he thought, like, I'm going to tackle this serious subject, but I'm going to do it in a way that feels very...
familiar.
Well, also, like... has a more tame tone to it.
Of course,
where
yeah.
The content there is very, very serious and very heavy.
Yeah.
But the way it's presented to you is pretty easy to take in.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, it feels like an old man pill. It feels like a chewable vitamin. That's what it is. It's you taking your supplements that you need because you're getting old and you need your B12s because you don't want to lose your hair and shit. But you still want to have a gummy bear every now and then.
Yeah, you want to have the Spider-Man brand.
Oh, fuck yeah. I want this. No one likes the Smurfs. What was I going to say? The Flintstones. The Flintstones vitamins are awesome. Who didn't have the Flintstones vitamin? Like, comment, and subscribe. And put in the code for 50% off on Flintstones vitamins. We're not sponsored by Flintstones vitamins. Yet. It's coming. It's in the works. We got t-shirts and shit, too. We're doing a deal with Supreme, too. It's going to be Supreme X Hipsters and Heathens. It's going to be dope. There's going to be a Metro card for it. Everyone's going to be outside Union Square just like waiting in line to get a Metro card. Anyway, so basically the reasons I think it can be considered sucky is because it's the same shit over and over again. I really sometimes don't believe he's growing up, and sometimes I feel like the production wasn't all that great. It's a lot of instrumental things. I really do appreciate the lyrics in this thing if you haven't figured it out. I think it was very passionate. And now everybody can have their gripes. And yeah.
Yeah, so in short, I felt it was very oversimplified and very uniform, almost too uniform. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but in my opinion, it made it lackluster and not as exciting as some other artists that interest me.
Alright, and I thought that it was good because it really did feel like to me that this is a man who's coming to age, and I respect that because as a man, I'm a man now, which is weird to say, a 19-year-old man coming into his 20s, I feel the same way in different ways. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a coming-of-age story is good for me right now, and I feel like this entire album will be that piece that I remember from the end of my freshman year in college, and I go, this is how I felt, minus the fact that my dad was a dick, and he died, and my sister ran away, and everything was horrible. I actually felt pretty great, but it was a good year. It was a very good year for me. But yeah, I mean, go take a listen. Mac DeMarco, This Old Dog, came out late May 23rd, May 25th. I'm not going to say that I know all the facts. You know, we're talking about this over a kitchen counter on a Saturday night. If you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. You can agree with the hipster, you can agree with the heathen. Tune in next week. We're going to have another episode for you. We're going to keep trying to do this for the rest of the summer, and if people really latch onto it, we're going to keep trying to do it for as long as we can. We hope you enjoyed it. You have any closing remarks?
I hope nobody disagrees with me, but knowing this is going to be on the internet, I guarantee there will be at least one person.
We await your anger. Ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a little clicky because this is on my cell phone, huh? How about that? Cell phone quality. Good night. Mac DeMarco. God bless the US of A.
And stay gold, Pony Boy.